Hello. In this video, we're going to build from the basic model we developed last time to see how changing institutional rules affects what I will refer to as pivotal politicians. Politician is a general term meant to refer to lawmakers such as regulators, justices, and elected officials like members of parliament. As a quick review, we will make a number of assumptions. First, we can place policy choices within a single-dimensional policy space, which is a fancy way to say a line. Second, we assume that politicians have well-defined preferences with a single point on the line representing their ideal policy, which maximizes utility. As policy moves away from the ideal, the utility declines. We will also assume that politicians vote for policies based upon their utility. Finally, we made an assumption about how collective action decisions are made. When collective action decisions are made based upon a simple majority rule, we showed that the equilibrium follows Duncan Black's median voter theorem. We saw that the median voter was key to a policy change because if the median voter votes for a new policy, so too will an additional 50% of policymakers. We also showed how policy changes will move toward the median voter's ideal. And we showed that a policy outcome located at the ideal of the median voter is a stable equilibrium, because any alternative cannot win enough votes for a simple majority. With that brief review, we will now explore how a change in the institutional rules affects the equilibrium. We're going to keep all of our basic assumptions, but change the collective action rule to one of supermajority voting. This simply means that for a new policy to pass, more than 50% plus one of the politicians have to support the proposal versus the status quo. There are many political institutions that require a supermajority vote. For example, to amend the Constitution in Japan, 2/3 of the members of both houses of parliament must vote for the proposed amendment. Among the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, which consists of China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, proposed resolutions require unanimous support. In my home state of Vermont, if the legislature proposes and votes for a new policy change, even if the governor or executive vetoes the proposed change approved by the legislature, the proposal can still become new law if 2/3 of the members of the legislature vote in favor. In Vermont, there are 2 political institutions that comprise the legislature. In the lower house, 100 of the 150 members would need to vote in favor. In the upper house, which is referred to as the Senate, 20 of the 30 members would need to vote in favor. The governor represents the 3rd political institution involved in the policymaking process. We're going to explore the implications of this supermajority voting rule in an example using only the Vermont Senate, even though the lower house would also need a supermajority vote if the governor vetoes a proposal. Because the minimum hourly wage is such an active issue in Vermont, I will use it as an example. The current government-mandated minimum hourly wage is about $9 per hour. We're going to assume that the ideal points of the 30 senators are uniformly distributed between 0 and 30. So, Senator number 3 has an ideal policy of $3, number 30 has an ideal of $30, and the median voter in the Senate has an ideal minimum wage policy of $15. We'll assume that the governor's ideal minimum wage is equal to $8 per hour. From the previous video, we know that the direction of policy change for any feasible new proposal will move toward the ideal point of the Senate median voter. However, it is easy to see that a feasible policy change would result in the governor's utility declining. So the governor will veto any proposed increase in the minimum wage. Therefore, for a new minimum wage proposal to become law, it must receive supermajority support in the Senate. This means 2/3 or 20 of 30 senators must vote for the law over the status quo of $9. The 20 senators are represented by senators number 11 through 30. Each of these senators must see their utility rise to vote for the alternative. So you can see that if Senator number 11's utility rises, then so too will the other 19 senators. So Senator number 11 is the key voter, and we will call Senator number 11 the supermajority voter. When the collective action rule governing policy decisions was a simple majority rule, the median voter was key. In this situation where a supermajority rule governs, the supermajority voter is key. This result highlights the general idea of a pivotal politician. In his 1998 book, Keith Krabel introduced the concept of pivotal politics. When a simple majority voting rule governs a political institution, the median voter theorem shows us that the median voter is key or pivotal. Under the same logic, when we have a supermajority voting rule, then the supermajority voter is pivotal. In a political institution with a supermajority voting rule, policy changes that occur move toward the ideal policy of the supermajority voter. Furthermore, if policy is currently located at the supermajority voter's ideal, then that policy will be a stable equilibrium. The big takeaway from this analysis is that policy change is determined by the vote of the pivotal politician. And as a researcher, it is critical to understand the detailed procedures and rules of the political institution in order to identify the pivotal politician. We can use the pivotal politician insight to inform hypotheses about the formulation of political strategy. Mainly, the models we have developed help to predict where an interest group is likely to focus their political influence tactics to secure favorable policy outcomes. Interest groups that seek support for a policy position will first target pivotal politicians. While the models developed are simple in their institutional features, one can incorporate more sophistication. The general insight, however, will be the same. Within a single political institution, interest groups will target the pivotal politician. In the third and final video, we will develop a more complex PPT model that analyzes regulatory policy in a system with checks and balances. Thank you.